Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ MV, Angela Yee, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. We got a special guest in the building.
Yes, sir.
Lloyd.
Hey, family, what's up?
What's
Good
up, brother?
morning, my
Good
brother.
to see y'all again. Maine, good to see you. Envy, Yee, New York, New Orleans, every city in America at this point. What's up?
That's almost true.
Yeah.
How's fatherhood, man?
Man, I cried every day for the first 3 weeks after having my son. Made me look at my mom different, made me respect her a great deal, especially her raising me pretty much by herself a lot.
How old's the baby now?
My son is 14 months.
14.
My daughter is 5 months.
Back to back,
Back to
baby.
back.
Literally
Wow.
born in the same month, a year apart.
Wow, you know, mine was a year apart, June 3rd and June 5th.
Wow.
So you-
yeah.
you
So
went right
whenever
back
the
at it.
doctor said,
It's
"Is you
okay."
good to go?" I was
I was
back
good to-
in
yeah, me
there.
too.
Yeah.
Do you feel the difference as a man?
Yes. As a man, as an artist, as a human being, as a neighbor, a son, as a brother, as yes, absolutely.
Do you suffer from any parental paranoia, especially being out on the road? You back on the,
Oh yes.
yeah, being away from them.
I look at everything different. Well, being away from them causes anxiety, but also I look at people's activities a lot different. Like if I see somebody acting a certain way, I'll say, "God, man, where her daddy at?" You know, I go through that phase. Or, man, you know, like just not being, I think, sometimes not realizing that everyone is someone's daughter.
Ooh.
Everyone is someone's sister, you know,
Right.
which are really like the most special people in my life, women-wise, you know. So,
I think it's just every woman is someone.
yeah.
Period.
Period.
So treat women
Absolutely.
differently because you look at them differently now.
Yeah, I mean, just realizing the economy of each person, really having respect for each person, that definitely came along with fatherhood.
Where are you raising your children?
In
Where-
Atlanta.
In Atlanta,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
Now, I
My
saw
son-
you in
my
New
son-
Orleans, and I was like, okay.
Yeah, was that for Essence?
Yeah.
Yeah, I brought my son with me, so I try to keep him with me as much as possible. I spent every day with him for the first year of his life. For the most part, I had to go to Australia for about 2 weeks. About 2 weeks after he was born, which was real hard, but kept him with me. I recorded the rest of the True album with him, with me in the studio with his headphones on, recorded him crying, played the instruments for him every day as a kid, sang to him to sleep every day, you know, just really enjoying it.
So listen, you on tour now. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? Back in the day, I'm sure when you was on tour, you was a wild boy. But now that you look at women differently, how does that affect the groupie love on the tours? Or is there groupie love anymore?
I actually always been the most like fall backish out
Okay.
of everyone, you know. Even back when I was younger, I really was really subdued. But especially now, man, everybody always say I get ghost after the show. I perform and then I'm like out of there
Yeah, no
immediately.
partying.
They say, and they always say
Right.
you never hang out. You know, you don't never kick it. You don't never nothing. I'm like, man, I'm on FaceTime.
Word.
There you go.
You in the room in the bed on
Yeah.
FaceTime with the kids. Got you.
Pretty
Got
much.
Now,
you.
let's
yeah.
talk about your unsung, because I learned a lot of things about Lloyd from watching that I had no idea about.
Like how ugly I am when I cry.
Oh, stop
Now,
it.
what did you
Some
learn,
people
Yee?
look good when they cry. you
Well,
know?
I was looking at him when he was young and he was in a band. By the way, some of those songs from In Tune sound like they still could rock right now.
They could.
Yeah, they sound like pretty good when I was watching the show.
Thanks.
I didn't know your manager was Joyce from the group Climax.
Yes, all female band for all
Climax
the youngins.
I had no idea.
For all the youngins out there that think the samples are the original music, sorry.
That is the loudest
I
ringtone I've heard
said,
in my
what the hell
goddamn
is
life.
that?
Sorry.
They
It
get
said
li-
wifey.
your
You better
license-
answer that.
It's John Mayer. That's
Your
my
license
You
my
better
allowed.
answer that, Lloyd,
On the
or
seat.
answer.
Hey, you on the Breakfast Club.
That's
you want
right.
to say hey? Oh, shit. I'll call you back.
Let me tell you something.
Sorry.
Whenever your wife calls, I don't care what you doing, you answer the phone, young man.
All the time.
All right?
Yeah, so
Whenever your wife calls, you answer the phone, young man.
good note.
Always.
Yeah,
I don't
always.
care what you doing.
Good note. All right, cool.
Doesn't
Seriously,
matter.
no matter
No
what.
matter what.
I'll be live one day. That
Always.
phone rings.
You
What's
should
up,
have hit her
babe?
before you walked in
I'm
here.
giving my Grammy speech and my
You
phone.
give your
That's right.
Hold on. Babe, I'm giving a Grammy
That's
speech.
right.
You
She
wanna hold
should probably be there with you so she won't be calling.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Joyce
So
from
for all
Climax.
the youngins that think all the samples are the originals that don't know about the world that existed before the 2000s. Climax, all-female funk band.
The men are paused.
Men are paused, meeting in the ladies' room.
I Miss
You. And she played bass, wrote the song, a lot of songs, produced music. She produced my first records on tape, you know, before digital music. And really is like the reason why I'm anything, pretty much, as a musician.
And then, of course, Ashanti was on there, and you guys were talking about the song Southside and how that really helped you shoot up the charts. And so what's your relationship with Ashanti now? Because it seems like she still, to this day, has a lot of love for you.
You know, for someone that doesn't have to go out of their way to do a lot of things anymore, she really seems to always come through for me in the clutch. Just the other day, I was performing on a tour in New York, and she came through for me.
Oh, she popped up on stage with you?
Yes, my first show, because I haven't seen you guys in a while. So after True came out and started to gain momentum, my first big show was in Atlanta at home, and she flew down.
That's
and surprised everybody. She's really sweet.
That's dope.
A really dope person.
Can you tell her to unblock Charlamagne?
I sure will.
She did unblock
She already
me.
unblocked
And I
him.
believe she would. Yeah. 'Cause
She unblocked me on
He said, I
Twitter.
sure will.
Yeah.
So we care. And then Irv Gotti was on there. Now, he did come and do his interview. I understood a little bit of what he was saying, though, because after you left, you know, Murder, Inc., and then you went and worked with 50, that really did break his heart. And you could understand something like that.
Yeah, no. And I said, I understand where he comes from. However, music should not have to have limitations, if that makes any sense. A person you cannot like someone, right? That don't mean that they not good at what they do.
No, of course not.
Right, and I think it can be unfortunate for everyone to have to limit themselves based on who you like or don't like, right? Take me, I'm from Atlanta, Georgia, born in New Orleans. I never had real issues with anybody.
You wasn't part of the whole
No
Queens
one ever came
beef,
at me.
right?
No one ever disrespected me. He never ever went out of his way to shit on me or, you know, that kind of thing. And I understand where he's coming from. But
Right.
where I was coming from was not to slight anyone. It was just to expand my musical palette because I listened to all of these people, regardless of if you like them or not. They got good songs. And I like music. I make music. I want to make music with everybody. I don't want to have any limits on my life ever. And
But then, you know, of course, you had to anticipate in your head. You were like, this is going to make Irv Gotti mad, but I don't want to put
you know,
limitations.
actually, in the moment, I wasn't thinking like that because I was really moving towards my path towards ownership, which is really always my true dream and goal. And also really is the real reason why I start kind of falling out with people is because I started to become more clear about my path in life, where I should be, where I want to be, and how to get there. And sometimes when you sign to people and they own your music, that's not always an easy conversation to have. So
Now you say ownership. Are you trying to get your masters and all your stuff back, or do you own it?
Well, my old masters, I don't know if I ever get them back, you know, so that is what it is. But my new music, yes, I own my new music.
Did you ever think 50 might have been trying to use you or was using you?
No, because it was also an Interscope collaboration at the time. Polo was cool with 50 at the time. And actually, the verse sounded good to me. The song, of course, I was very conscious about all of those things, the sensitivity. So I knew the song content had nothing to do with any of that. I could see, like I said on the episode, if the song came out and it was about someone else or it was, you know, like
It wasn't a diss
a
record.
diss at any moment.
No
but
subliminals.
yeah, it was nothing like that.
And
And
record labels aren't gangs. You know what I'm saying?
what you mean?
Like meaning Murder Inc. and June or whatever, y'all should still be able to do music together. I
But
would think.
those were gangs. But
I'm saying the R&B artists on the
Right.
label. It's not like you was involved with the fighting and all that BS like that. Y'all should have still been able to collaborate.
Yeah, no, I wasn't. And actually, when you know, when I first actually got in it, I felt some kind of way about it. Like I remember like wanting to jump in a fight at one point in time.
Lord.
Like you know,
That's
what I
your
mean?
crew.
Because that's my crew. But then I realized that that also could be problematic. You know, for long-term growth and progression as a human being.
It wasn't even your personal issue.
And
so.
it really wasn't my issue, man. And I also didn't make a diss record. So
How was your
what?
relationship with Irv now?
We don't really have a relationship. I have a relationship with everyone else besides him.
So Ja Rule, Ashanti.
Everybody, yeah.
It's interesting because he did still jump on the unsung.
Yeah, which was dope to me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, regardless of if we are cool with each other or not. I mean, he's a big part of my life and my story, and I would never ever show anything but respect and admiration for what he's brought, not only to me but to the game.
Now, Lloyd was also a drug dealer at a young age, which shocked me. I was like, really, Lloyd? Because you were in music so young also that it always felt like that was your thing, like singing and performing. So we don't think of it like Lloyd actually sold weed.
Yeah,
selling
well,
weed?
I wasn't that good because I got caught.
clearly.
So, yeah.
How'd you get caught?
Actually, it was a very chance encounter with the police.
You sold to undercover?
No, I happened to be in I was at a private residence, but I was literally on public property, and they pulled up and searched the car.
Damn.
Damn, how much did they
the
find?
craziest thing, huh?
How much did they find?
Enough to put me in jail. Shit.
I know your
You probably
family.
went for a night or something, a couple of hours maybe.
Yeah, a day.
Yeah.
It was a day.
I know your family was like, come on, Lloyd. Like, what are you doing? Because you were such a good kid at the time.
Yeah, I was in a rebellious state. I was, you know, I actually watched Casanova interview on here one time, and he said, you know, one of the silliest things and most immature things I used to do was want to fit in.
Yes.
You know, instead of standing out all the
Right.
time, I really yearned to be a part of the crew, to really, you know, be subpar in a sense. And that's really the space I was in as a teenager.
But speaking of Casanova, why didn't you stick the weed up your ass when the police
Oh, shut
rolled
up.
up on you?
Speaking of Casanova, I looked for him when I came in here to make sure he wasn't in the hallway.
Never know with that guy, right?
You never know, yo.
Do you like being back on the road again, or does being away from the kids stress you out?
It stressed me out. Yeah, absolutely. It's bittersweet. It's really bittersweet. I mean, when you really bleed something and you love something, you really enjoy it. That was really the reason why I wanted to do this tour. It was because I wanted to share in the joy that I felt would be expressed from each artist being able to really do what they love, especially them sometimes not having that opportunity like I've had over the years. And so yeah, that's great, but man, I love my kids.
Right.
What do
I
you think
do.
about some of the people I'm sure you look up to? Michael Jackson and that documentary, and R. Kelly and that documentary. What do you think about all these stories?
A hell of a segue to go. I mean, talking about his
No,
kids
that's
and you
great.
going to Michael Jackson.
No, that's
stuff.
great.
Well,
Um,
because
things
it
to
probably
think
affects you
about.
differently as a father.
Yeah, absolutely.
When you see
It's
people
important.
with-
I'll say this. Due process is a very necessary thing, and the court of public opinion, I mean, is not necessarily based on that. I would like to not really judge people so much. I try to understand like why people do the things they do, or how it led to that point, and start from there. I think sometimes once an act happens, it's really a reflection of many bad choices leading up to that point. I'll say that. I'll also say just because someone does a bad thing sometimes doesn't mean they are just a really bad person all the time, forever. They just might have an issue or a problem. I think sex can be a problem, like drugs or eating. You know what I mean? It can really be a sickness or depression, like mental health. I think these are things that are kind of taboo, and also can be used to hide behind bad things people do, which is not what I'm trying to do. I grew up loving both of those guys. I've been in the vicinity of both of those guys.
You met Michael?
I talked to Michael.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and
That's your number one kind of role model.
absolutely, which I get from my mother. She grew up loving him. And I'll say it's interesting on a few levels. One, as a father, I know my daughter, I will give her everything I can give her. I want to be the most honest man at all times. And she may grow up to live the life that she wants to live, which is fine. But what I never, ever want is for me to ever put her in a compromising position as a young woman. And I also don't want her to ever feel like she's in a place where someone is taking advantage of her. I want her to always be conscious about what she's doing. However, with that said, 18 years old, to me, does not really mean that you are an adult.
Right.
That's real.
Okay? So that's one thing to be discussed, because just because someone's 18, to me, don't mean that they make smart decisions. I didn't really grow into manhood because of my age. I grew into it because of my experiences. However, I've seen people make dumb decisions in their 20s, stuff that you
in
wouldn't.
their 50s.
Whatever,
Right.
yes. So let me say that. Let me also say, when I was a teenager, I was doing stuff that I had no business doing, consciously doing it. Now, I think that what should happen is everyone should accept responsibility for their actions. There's accountability to go around the table in a lot of these instances. And when you only deflect to one source as the true problem, I think it strips us from being able to really progress and learn from what happened. However, sick people do sick shit, and I could never really respect that. But I like to see it play out.
What did you and Michael talk about?
He actually just called me when I was recording some of my first songs.
How old were you?
I was 15, 16. I was in Memphis for the Mike Tyson fight. I was recording with Rodney Jerkins. Him and Rodney was real cool.
Okay.
Oh,
And he called and spoke to me and told me Rodney had played him some of my music, and he thought I was really good, and to keep going.
Dope.
wow. That's a dope story.
I think this too. It's easy to say things are white and black or whatever, right? Like, oh, all of our black heroes are being attacked, which is one perspective. I do think it's funny how, because we live in the era of accessibility, we know so much more about people that we probably would never have known before. So I think there's a whole generation of individuals that we can respect and admire that we don't really know what they was doing behind closed doors.
That's true.
You know, I mean, and also there are instances that go overlooked, I think, on purpose. Like, let's say Elvis Presley, who I think married his underage girl.
Lisa Marie Presley at 14.
14.
Yes. He
Jerry,
also said that he didn't like to date women over 15.
yeah, I mean, that was that era, I guess. You could always say that, but that's
They
not.
definitely need to do a
that's
documentary
crazy
about that.
to
though.
me.
That is crazy.
I mean, nobody's stripping his music off of streaming services and boycotting his legacy or standing outside of his home, which may be the next step. I don't know.
They should.
Jerry Lee Lewis married his cousin, but he's still celebrated as one of the greatest rock and roll voices.
If it's really about sexual assault and guys abusing children, let's just get everybody across
Everybody
the board.
got to, everybody
Absolutely.
needs to be held
I agree.
accountable for their actions. And
Well, maybe we need to be doing those documentaries.
I know
then.
this. I do know this. I know I can only focus on what I can control as a father, and what I won't be doing is having my daughter at anyone's home or concert
I'm with you.
or on stage with them or any of that kind of foolishness. It's not going to happen.
All right.
Now, for a long time, I've also been hearing you say you've been trying to figure it out. Have you figured it out?
I'm always trying to figure it out. I realized that. I thought it was easier than that, but it's not. I think if you really care about not only your life but the lives of the ones around you, and you really care about what you do, then you are constantly figuring things out.
Yeah, and it's always different stages. You know, you're a father now. Every time you get older, every year is something different. Everything you thought you knew, you really don't know anymore.
Yeah, absolutely.
Are you back on the road because you needed the money or because you just wanted to do it for the love?
It's a little bit of both, actually.
Yeah.
And I don't have a problem saying that. I got 2 kids.
Word.
You know what I mean? So
Gotta
I'm
work.
definitely in like future mode.
That's right.
At all times. I don't know if it was you that said this, or maybe it was something that you would have said, but it was something along the lines of when people live in the moment is when like they kind of block themselves from being great. It's because it was Lil Duval. Actually, he said something about.
Similar.
He said something.
You probably got it from me. But
Similar.
continue.
He said
person.
something about focus on the future,
Oh,
because
no, yeah, he said-
the present is things that are happening by people who plan for this
Plan for the
years
future.
ahead.
Right.
Yeah,
Stuff
yeah.
like that, and
Hold
you
on.
busy living in the moment
We gonna
all the
quote that
time.
exactly.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I mean,
got
when I
that
make
somewhere.
music, I think it's best to live in a moment. The worst music comes when you try to plan it out and manipulate it. But in life, yeah, I'm definitely in.
How you
You
like the
feel
road?
It was always think about the future because the present was planned years ago by people that thought about their future while you were living in the moment.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's pretty cool. So,
What do you?
Yeah,
How you
sure.
liking the road now? What's the difference between the road now and the road back then?
the road now and the road back then. Well, everybody's on their phone at the concert.
Yeah, that's
Does that
true.
bother the ish out of you? 'Cause
Everybody watches the phone through the concert through their phone instead of actually watching the concert
And
through their
posting
eyes.
everything.
Yeah. And I also find that I have to put my pride aside sometimes. Like, you know what? I just don't have it in me to spend a lot of money on clothing, right? It's just foolish to me, right? So knowing that my outfit is gonna be online every day.
You gotta think
It's
about
the same
that.
outfit every show. I ain't mad
I
at you.
always
though.
wear the same uniform.
Yeah, it's like, man, do I just go buy a bunch of stuff for every show and be
You
this
should
new
just wear the
person?
same thing.
No.
So I'm
Nobody
like
cares.
I'm in uniform mode right now. That's why I got
That
my
makes sense, though. People
my
think about
flight
things
suit.
like that.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. Do you love music like to the point where you did take a break, but did you always know you were going to come back to it because this was your passion? Like always,
Yeah.
even when you took a break, or did you ever think?
Yeah, you
I don't know.
actually asked me that question when I first released True. Mm-hmm. You asked me something very similar, and I said, when you bleed something, you never leave it, you know. But when you really care about something, then you realize when you're not doing it right, or when there's something. Sometimes there's things that you can do that you don't know how to do, and you need to allow yourself time and space to learn that, to really give the love that's necessary. So.
You ever look back and be like, I wonder what would happen if I signed to Young Money?
No, sometimes I look back and I say, I wonder what would have happened if I just would have went independent from day one. You know, that's the kind of things I look back
But
and
that's so
think
young.
about.
I think you think that was a harder time?
I do believe 100% of nothing is nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to give a little to gain a lot sometimes. But you learn very early, if you pay attention, that the game is not built for ownership, you know, for one to own their own art and music, and then you have to live with that.
Right.
And that's tough, to live with someone else owning the rights to your expression, to your, you know, your best work at times. Sometimes, you know, I mean, I'm fortunate to love it so much that I stuck with it and I grew with it to be able to come back with True, you know. But
Would you have gotten those records as an independent artist though? Those records, those big features. Production.
I believe everything happens for a reason.
Got you.
And no regrets. I mean, yeah, it would be totally different probably, but who knows?
When you're out there performing, do you ever see the confusion in people's faces when the whole "she's fine too" or 5-2
No,
part comes up?
I actually sometimes I ask the crowd what they think.
What the hell are you saying, Lloyd?
You know, I think I was the first mumble singer.
He sang fine too.
So you don't know what you were
I
saying?
don't know. I don't know no more.
Really?
I really don't.
Seriously, all jokes aside, come on, you
I
wrote
don't,
this.
man. I don't. It's so funny. I mean, I thought I knew, but then when everybody start asking, I'm like, well, maybe I did.
Do you
I was
like
so
girls that
young.
are 5'2"?
I do. I do. And 5'5". My girl's 5'5". So
Got you. So that's just a mystery that nobody will ever figure
I
out.
Nobody
don't
will
know
ever know.
how that happened, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why people. Okay, if you listen to it, you could really hear it.
Nah, I
He
can't.
He doesn't even know.
He
So
don't
how
know.
do
I don't
you
He
know.
knows
I don't know
what
if
he's
they
If I
saying.
don't know, how we
5'2".
supposed to know?
Now, did you see Ja on the Fire documentary?
I did not.
No, you didn't watch the Fire documentary.
No.
Good
no.
answer.
Deliberately.
You deliberately don't want to see it.
Yeah, no.
Okay, now let's talk about your acting career now, because you're going to be in a movie on TV One, and you are playing Gregory Williams.
Yes.
From Switch.
Yes.
Okay.
Who the hell is Gregory Williams from Switch?
You don't know the song by Switch? There'll never be.
There's a song called There'll Never Be, and there's a song called I'll Call Your Name. You know that one.
I
I'll
gotta hear
call
it.
your name, girl.
No,
I think of you, and it eases the pain.
no, but I will Google later.
Yeah,
Wow.
You
finish
have to
singing
know
Ye.
there'll
You
never
tried,
be.
Ye, 'cause
I'm
you
not
was doing
going
a
to
good
sing
job,
after
Ye.
Lloyd just tried to
You was
play
just
me
doing it,
and
Ye.
he
You was just
started
singing, Ye.
I tried to sing a little bit, and then you came in and sang for real. That's the kind of person I don't like doing karaoke with. When you do karaoke and then
Somebody
Lloyd
wanna
gets up
really sing.
and sings for real.
Yeah, but that's not why karaoke works. Karaoke is for the non-singers.
Right, and that's why I
Yeah.
can't stand when people can sing, come and do karaoke. I think that's totally against like what karaoke's
Yeah, you
about.
just
Yeah, I
showing off
agree.
at this
It's
point.
for
Yeah, I
us.
agree. I agree. Yeah, the band Switch featured Bobby DeBarge, who was pretty much like the matriarch of the DeBarge family.
Right.
And of course, through Bobby came L and Chico and
Bunny.
James and Bunny. And so the story is about Bobby's life, about really his triumphs and his valleys. And I played a part of Greg Williams, who was the founding member of the group Switch that introduced the songs I'll Call Your Name and There'll Never Be, amongst many others. The band was called Switch because they switched instruments in the middle of the set.
Dope.
Everybody played multiple instruments, something that really kind of don't exist. And I grew up listening to the DeBarges. I'll Call Your Name was like maybe the first song I ever learned all the way through. And Russ Parr called and asked me to be in it
That's
the
dope.
day before filming.
Russ
And,
is directing it?
Russ is directing the
My
movie.
guy Russ. Salute to Russ.
Russ put me on my first tour when Southside came out, and so he's like, when anything he needs, I'm there.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate you for joining us.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having
you
me.
guys got to watch that Unsung. It was really good. It was a lot of information.
I almost didn't do it. I almost blocked my blessing because I thought Unsung was for this older generation.
We said that too. I was like, is it too early for Lloyd to be doing Unsung?
I thought it was for people that really don't make music much anymore, or their stories may never be told. So it's like you got to get it out there now before it's too far removed. But when they came to me, they told me they wanted to make it a little more prevalent. They told me that I could have full creative control, and if I didn't like it, I could scrap it. But I'm really glad I did it.
Yeah, I can
I'm
see
really
you doing
glad
an
I did it.
uncensored. Unsung does seem like it's for the older artists. Because, they got another show called Uncensored.
Yes.
And that's for, like, the more current.
Yeah, Fantasia's premiered the same night. But I'm glad I did the Unsung because I really got a chance to show people a side that I've never really spoken about.
And you've been in this business at such a young age, so it's kind of like the first chapter, and then, you know what I mean? It is like at a young age, you were in this business, and then there was some jealousy involved as kids, which is a shame.
No, not so much as kids. It was the
parents, right?
Yeah,
They had to involve you in that. Do you know what happened to the other members of the group?
Yeah, I still talk to all of them.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I thought it would be real dope for us to all get together for the tour and maybe try and
Bring
perform.
back one of those songs?
Yeah, some of the songs. Yeah, I talk to everyone. Of course, the youngest member is my blood brother, so I talk to him all the time. But yeah, everyone's in good health.
Okay.
Well, it's
I know for
Lloyd.
Lloyd do look like he could change some good oil, though.
Right now.
Right now.
Oh, I clean this place up too. Y'all need to clean this up. Look,
Oh, my goodness.
let's get these empty
Lloyd.
bottles out of here.
It's the Breakfast Club. Good morning.